there are some news stories that come out and you read and you kind of dismiss sometimes quite quickly. Well, I certainly do, especially around this time of year, because, transfer window time typically just throws out all these bits and pieces of rumours and stuff. And it's so hard sometimes to take stock of everything, you know what I mean? And take it seriously, because there's no point, because most of the time it's not. And it's just kind of trying to get clicks and all these sort of things. So this morning I read some news popped up on my phone. It was regarding Aaron Cresswell and saying Aaron Cresswell, West Ham looking to sell and looking to maybe move on. I totally dismissed it. The reason being, he's just signed a new contract back in November, I think it was, or no, December time. So, and we broke that on the West Ham wave of ex-WHU employee. So, to be honest with you, just took no notice of it. Immediately saw it, thought, yeah, that's obviously rubbish, and carried on with my day. And then I saw it again, and then I kept seeing it again. So to a point where you thought, right, I've got to actually sort of read into this. What is this all about? And then, of course, the news then comes out from ex-WHU employee that this is, in fact, very much true. In fact, I'm sure it's going to happen. That's where I believe this is at now. And Aaron Cresswell leaving West Ham this summer. Now, it's really interesting, okay, because you look at it on the face of it, and I can see some fans will be quite upset because it's a big player we've had for so many years. I think this is going to be his 10th season at West Ham. He's been here a long, long time. Great servant to the club. Obviously, one of the Upton Park era players, which I think is always sad when you lose one. We've just lost Manuel Lanzini. You've got Cresswell, Antonio, and I think Abona left. So that'd be another player going from that era of players. So, yeah, that would be quite sad. But I've got to say, and I will explain all this in the video, I think this is actually really exciting. This is really what I want to see from West Ham, and I've been craving this for a long time. This forward thinking, this ruthless approach to how we do things. It's about time that this is how West Ham behave. And I go as far as saying, I think this summer, and I stick with it now, right? I've been saying it all summer, and I'm firmly with this. I think this is going to be a very positive summer for the football club. I really do. I think the Declan Rice sale, yes, as much as it's been painful, I think it's a really good thing for us. I think it enables West Ham to push on. Of course, you don't want to lose your best players, and I don't want to keep talking about Declan Rice, but I think this has provided us with a good opportunity. I think if we can get it right, then I've got no problem with it at all. I think West Ham can push on and have a very exciting season, and I really firmly believe we will. The Rice sale, the reason I bring up the Rice sale was because when you consider West Ham selling players, and I'm not just talking about recent history, I'm talking about throughout my life when we've sold key players, we've been rubbish at it. Really rubbish. We've never got the right money. We always seem to get bullied into these fees and what we're doing. It never works. I mean, you look back at, the main one that sticks to my mind is Dimitri Payet. Dimitri Payet, at the time when we sold him, let's bear in mind he was one of the best players in the world, because in fact he'd done so well the season before at West Ham, and he really was up there, wasn't he? He went away to the Euros, France, and was amazing. I genuinely just look back and think, how on earth did we agree to sell him for the fee that we did, which I think was around about £20 million? He was worth treble that. But that's what my point is. West Ham are just rubbish at selling players. We sold Arnautovic the same. We've barely got much for him. Looking back even at Rio Ferdinand at the time was considered one of the best defenders in the Premier League. Probably was the best defender. We sold him to Leeds United for £18 million. 12 months later, they sold him for 30. 30. That's nearly double the price, almost double what we sold him for. It just shows you how annoying. Why didn't we go and send him to Man United? I'm not going to get old graves here, but my point is West Ham are famously bad at selling players. Yet this summer, and this is why I dreaded this Rice sale, because I thought, Christ alone, what are we going to agree to? But we didn't. We stood firm. We know that's the price. We're not wavering. We want it dealt with. It. We negotiated very, very well, West Ham. And I felt straight away like, this feels like a different West Ham. It feels different. I'm not saying it's all to do with this appointment of Steidten, but I do think this is a key reason that our behaviour and how we're doing things. And this Aaron Cresswell news is exactly that. This is a new way of West Ham dealing with things. We know how West Ham operate. We know how we've always done it. We always seem hell bent on just getting strikers and attackers. We neglect certain positions in our team. We always have done for a long time. With this sort of mindset of, well, he's there, he'll do a job. We don't need to worry about that position. We don't need to worry about that position because we've got him. And I've always been frustrated with that because for me, every summer West Ham should always try and look to upgrade. I understand there are certain positions you don't need to upgrade. You can look at Paqueta, for instance, and think, well, we don't need to go, right, we'll get rid of Paqueta, get someone better in. There's not much point. He's doing so well. I understand certain positions you don't need to, but you should always look to try and improve. And then when you look at the left-back situation, I mean, how long has that position been neglected? I know that we brought in Emerson last season. To be fair, he's done a decent job, but he's aging. And really, when you sort of, you look at it, you think that's not a forward-thinking move. That's a sort of plaster. You're just getting rid of a player. We got rid of Masuaku. Let's just get someone in. He's available. He'll do a job. I'm not going to go at Emerson at all. He's been actually very good. I'm very impressed with him. But what I'm saying is Emerson's got no sell-on value. We're not going to be able to get like £50 million for Emerson now. I can't remember the fee we bought him for. If let's say it's 15, let's just say, that it's only going to be less, or maybe you might get your money back. That's the best you're going to get. You're never going to be a sell-on value. It's never, and it's something that's always frustrated me with West Ham. So this news of Aaron Cresswell shows a different approach, a different mindset, and I can only point towards Steidton. I think it's got Steidton all over it. This. And it really excites me. It really gives me hope that West Ham are doing the right things. At last, we're behaving like a hungry side that want to get better, rather than just settling and going, well, we're all right. We don't need to worry about them. I don't want to have that approach anymore. I want to always look to do better. So it appears that what the situation is that Wolverhampton Wanderers, who I believe ex-WHU employee has reported are leading the chase for Cresswell, have said that they're going to offer, I think it's $2.5 million. Some people are quoting 5, some people are quoting 2.5. I'm not too fussed about that. But basically, you're offering Cresswell a longer contract. At the moment, Cresswell's got a year to run, 1 year left on his West Ham deal. So effectively, I think they're going to offer him 2 years. Let's guess, best guess. So rather than West Ham sort of dismissing it and I'm going, well, we don't need to do this. We're actually looking at it as an opportunity. And go, well, hang on, we can go and upgrade. We can get someone better in. We can get someone younger into that position. And yes, it's sad. Yeah, but, Cresswell's been a long time, blah, 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 blah. You get all this stuff. But ultimately, so what? So what? Like, don't worry about that. Let's just think about growing our side. Let's think about improving our backline, improving our position, improving our squad. And I think it's a really interesting approach from West Ham. I think it's an exciting one. So that's what at the moment the story is. So Wolverhampton was coming forward. It looks like they're going to make an offer. My gut feeling is that's where he's going. I think this will happen. But obviously West Ham wants to make sure that we get a deal in place for someone to come in. Now, X has reported there are a number of replacements for this player. A few are French. I don't know any names. I haven't heard any other names. There are some rumours online that this is the case, that it's going to be someone from the French market or French football that's going to be coming in. However, the one name that has been coming out is Ian Maatsen. Maatsen, yeah. Maatsen. Ian Maatsen, that's correct. Sorry, I get it right. Ian Maatsen. Now, he's a Dutch footballer. He's 21 years old. So straight away, I'm going, great. That sounds good. He plays for Chelsea, but he's been on loan, I think, the last 3 years. I think it's he was at Charlton 3 years ago. Then he was at Coventry. Then he spent last season at Burnley. He was so good for Burnley that he was in the championship team of the season. That's how good he was. He was an invaluable player, and Burnley desperately want him back and are trying to get him back. There's talk of he's available for around about £20 million. Now, West Ham are looking at that. And that, to me, that is what you want to see. A 21-year-old, highly rated, going places, hungry. That is what we want. And I'll tell you what, if that is the player we're going to be bringing in, I'll be very, very pleased. As I say, it could be somebody else, but this is the one we're talking about a little bit at the moment, and that one that X has reported. As I actually record this, X is flying now from Australia, so he's going to be uncontactable for a period of time. So I can't find out any more than this. I'm only going by what he's reported on Patreon. So I'm going to go with the fact that, let's just say that this is the player West Ham are going to go for. They're going to go for Marsden. Now, I actually think that's an exciting player. I think it shows a forward-thinking approach from West Ham, thinking about the future. If you get a 21-year-old, you look at the player could be done for 10 years. That's what you want. And it's a different approach. This is where I think Steidton, this is where he earns his money. This is what we want. He's fishing out these younger players. So my thoughts on this are, it makes sense for all parties, really. It really does. If I'm Aaron Cresswell, yeah, it's sad. Yeah, you know, he's been at West Ham a long time, but ultimately he's coming to the end of his career. He's got 1 year left on his West Ham contract. And if another club comes in from at this age and say, look, we can offer you a couple of years, I absolutely don't blame him at all for thinking, do you know what, I fancy that. And I don't. I mean, he'd be still playing in the Premier League. He can still do a decent job. I really do think it makes sense. And if Wolves need a player like that, then fine. West Ham need to upgrade. We need to start investing in our squad and looking towards the future. And the left-back situation, it's been a talking point amongst fans for a long time, our left-back situation, because it always seems one that we slightly neglect. We don't think about for the future. We just seem to let it run and run. And I don't want to keep putting plasters around the team. I don't want to keep that. I mean, how many players at West Ham in our squad you look at and think, blimey, like, we could really do with upgrading that position. There's so many. Like, look at Souček last couple of years. It's been really tough to watch. And yet we seem to be just keep rolling over. Yeah, it's fine. He'll be all right. I don't want to keep having that mindset at West Ham. And this is a sign that we're moving away from that, being a bit more ruthless. Go, no, we can get a better player in, younger, and we can push forward. So, yeah, I absolutely think it works for all parties, Cresswell included. I think it'd be very good. Unexpected, absolutely. I didn't see this coming whatsoever. If someone had said to me, Cresswell leave the summer, I would have dismissed it immediately. Hence why I kind of did when I saw the news. I just took no notice of it. But it's not one now I'm dismissing at all. I think it's something we've got to take very seriously. I think it will happen. And I think it's a good move. As I've said, it's got its sentimental value in terms of Cresswell. He's been at the club for so long. I mean, I do have a slight concern. The slight concern I have with the move is that it's Aaron Cresswell. He's known to be a big voice at West Ham. He's been around the block. He knows the club. He knows all the players and all that. That's the only drawback I would say that slightly worries me, because we've just had a summer overhaul. We've lost some key players. We lost David Martin. We lost Martin Noble in the dressing room. We've now lost Declan Rice. We're about to lose another big voice, another person that's been around the club and understands it. So that's the only drawback I've got about it, and it makes me think, oh, okay, that's a slight concern, but it's not one that makes me turn away from it. It's not enough for me to go, don't do this. I actually think, no, let's be bold. Let's start showing some. I'll tell you what, it's showing ambition. It's that word that gets bandied around a lot. The whole Declan Rice thing was ambition. I want to see ambition. This is ambition. It might not be ambition in the grand scale, but it's still showing, it's forward thinking. It's thinking, no, we're not settling. We want to push on. And I like that. I really like it. And as a club, we do need to move forward. This, as I've said before in this video, it screams started to me. A lot of things have in this summer. I feel like West Ham are changing. We're becoming a bit more modern. We're becoming a bit more ruthless. And that's about time. About time we start seeing this from the West Ham, that we want to start pushing on as a football club. And I'm all for it. So if it happens, I've got to be honest, I think this is an exciting move for West Ham for all the reasons I've said. I genuinely, and I'm standing by this now, I know fans are getting very restless and getting very anxious. I think this is going to be a really exciting summer for West Ham.